So I'd like to welcome Fabien Deswarte, Strategic Partnerships for Sustainability Group Leader at L'Oreal, and his panelists to the stage.
So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this roundtable focusing on the future of the cosmetic industry, a future where innovation and sustainability are not only aspirations, but the very foundation of the industry. So joining me this afternoon, three very passionate leaders from two well-established cosmetic ingredient manufacturers, Geno and Oleon, and also one innovative startup, Algentech. We're all sharing the same engagement against sustainability and are very much into sustainable innovation. And can I let you introduce first briefly yourself?
Sure. Shall I start?
Mm-hmm.
So good afternoon. My real pleasure to be here. So my name is Douwina Bosscher. I work for the company Oleon, which is a company who has a green chemistry within its DNA. I'm the CTO and Innovation Director.
Hello everyone, I'm Isabelle Malcuit. I'm Chief Scientific Officer of Algentech. It's a French company, it's a startup. We are using green biotechnology, so using plants as a bioproduction platform to produce different ingredients for cosmetic industry and pharmaceutical industry. And it's a great pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sasha, Calder. A big thank you to Paul and the World Biomarkets team for having us, and to L'Oreal for this panel. I lead Impact at Geno, a biotech company based in San Diego, and I lead the Sustainability, Government Affairs, Corporate Communications, and Product Marketing teams there, and look forward to telling you a bit more about what we're working on.
Sounds great. So thank you very much and welcome on this panel. Very briefly, the cosmetic market is evolving at a very fast pace, driven by a number of factors. So the demand from consumers for a more sustainable product, for more transparency, but the ingredients that are included in the product. There's a surge in demand for personalization and inclusivity, i.e. products that respond to specific concern or specific needs, or products that embrace diversity in all its form. There's also a search for products with extra performance or multi-functionalities, and performance is an absolute must in cosmetics, and I'm sure it's the same in other sectors. And lastly, stricter regulations, such as the Green Deal in the EU, obviously, which is promoting environmental responsibilities. So in this dynamic landscape, established players, but also new emerging players, startups, have to rise and are rising to the challenge by leveraging advances in new technologies, including green chemistry, including biotech. And this is how this advancement in technologies are rewriting, so to say, the rules of the beauty sector that we are here to explore with our panel of experts. So to start with, I will start with you, Douwina. Oleon, of course, has a long history of manufacturing cosmetic ingredients, and green chemistry is something that you've been investing in for many years. Can you tell us more about your sustainability ambitions and how this might make a difference?
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Fabien, for the question. So Oleon is indeed, I would say, a well-established player in the oleochemical industry. And so along our pathway, we've always worked through three strategic pillars, which is very much in alignment with our mother company, which is a French agri-food company, Avril. And so the strategies that we embrace in everything we do is, first of all, to protect our natural resources. And this is obviously very much driven by our admiring the biodiversity we have within our ecological systems. So that means that, as probably all of us in the room, we're preparing today for the EU deforestation regulation, which will get into force by January next year. Well, it's in fact December this year. And so that means that we focus on our raw materials that are included within this EUDR regulation, mainly palm and derivatives such as PKO, but also soy and the cocoa. So this is one. Secondary is also, obviously, with the green chemistry, it all gets back to the raw materials you utilize. So that means that today, we have 95% of our raw materials that are fully from biodegradable origin, which is something we continuously aim to improve. There's obviously some remaining percentages, and that has to do just with absence of some of the alcohol substances we need to formulate our esters. But that does mean that we continuously are looking into the market whether there is a green version available, so that we even can improve where we are today. Secondary, it is about the LCA analysis, which relate to protecting the climate. So we had last year a target of having all of our molecules that we produce today at Oleon have underscored with an LCA analysis just to see how we can still improve. And that translates also into the environmental data sheets that we have that are combined with our safety data sheets or technical data sheets. So it illustrates the importance of protecting this climate. We have also in our innovation pipeline an internal scoring system. So that means that every project we launch should be meeting some of the internal criteria, which is Equilibra, which has already got many prizes, and we do a lot of talks with competitors or with customers of ours to compare our internal systems, how we can learn from one another. So this is really pre-competitive work, I would say, to improve the whole industry. And then the third pillar is really about diversity and inclusion, not only how we look at each other within our company, but also how we look at each other externally. So that means that we're very much involved into some social and community activities, and so that keeps us quite busy indeed. So these are really our basic foundations from where we then develop our chemistries, where we also look into improving our scope 1 and scope 2, obviously.
That sounds great, and I think, as you rightly said, I mean, sustainability is not only about CO2 emissions, because often that's all we talk about. But you mentioned biodiversity, you mentioned preserving natural resources. There's all these other aspects that we need to take into account, including using water sustainably as well. So that's very important. I'm taking a life cycle-based approach. That's absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really like a holistic approach, how you look at waste, how you look at water, how you look at gas, your electricity, and then improve that as much as possible. Yeah.
Sounds great. So Sasha, I'm not turning to you. So Douwina gave us a fascinating glimpse into their sustainability ambitions using green chemistry as a key lever. Another green technology, biotech, which is a technology you are pioneering at Geno, is also generating a lot of interest, a lot of excitement in the beauty sector. What's your take on it, and how do you think biotech can have a positive impact on in terms of sustainability for the beauty industry?
Definitely. So we have two different beauty products in home care and personal care. The first was brought to market almost 5 years ago, and it's called Butylene Glycol. It's a moisturizer. It goes into many different products. We sell to folks like L'Oreal, the large multinational beauty companies. It's commonly used. It's a great moisturizer. It's a humectant. And our technology, through biotech, offers over 50% reduction in greenhouse gas avoidance, as well as other traceability and no carcinogens in the manufacturing process, which the conventional petroleum-based version has health risks, not just environmental impact. So we take a really similarly rigorous look at the environmental profile as well as human health. So that was the first technology. It's under the name Brontide. You can come stop by our booth. I have some of the products. They go into everything from Dermalogica to L'Oreal to Chanel, a bunch of trusted brand partners. It's an exact drop-in replacement, and we've shown from a performance as well as a cost perspective, it's possible to make the transition. So we help these large companies transition, and the materials transition is what we like to call it. So there's the energy transition happening. We use biotech to enable the materials transition. So that's living proof that the technology works. It's already in market. This morning when I was getting ready, I was using some of our products. It's cool, you feel it. Another venture that we just launched last year is called Future Origins, and it's a $120 million venture in partnership with L'Oreal, Unilever, and Cow, and we found a replacement using biotechnology to create an exact replacement to palm oil. So this is going into the beauty, home care, and personal care industry. And for us, it unlocks many different opportunities in a market that's demanding responsible palm more than ever due to increasing regulation. Douwina shared on deforestation risk and regulation as increasing the demand. But when we talk to our brand partners, we've found this really interesting shift. I would say about a few years ago when we asked them, why do you work with Geno? Why do you come to us and invest in our technology or buy our products? And they say, if we think biotech is just really cool. And sometimes they would say it's sexy. Like, we want to be on the cutting edge. We want to be at the point of sale, exciting our customers. What we interestingly get now is that the most important reason that they're thinking about diversifying their ingredient portfolio is to de-risk their supply chain. Now more than ever, having resilient supply chains is the most important thing. And so we're really proud that our technology across beauty, automotive, apparel, home care, industrial, plastics, and other materials allows for that de-risking. So I can share a little bit later on what that looks like, but de-risking and building resilient supply chains is actually the most important piece that we deliver to our partners.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. It's for greenification and diversification. Yep. And I can confirm that the two raw materials you mentioned are used in very large volume in the cosmetic sector. So we're not talking about molecules that are used in very small concentration and will have a very little impact on the industry. These two molecules have a very, very big impact on the cosmetic industry.
If I may add one thing on that, that's critical to us. So our thesis for impact is that we go after large-scale ingredients, which give us the speed to market. We know from the chemical industry that it takes an average of 18.2 years to create a new material market. And from a climate perspective, as well as from funds, investors building these technologies and putting them into the market, we just don't have time. So we go after large volume products that we can drop in, and then we make sure that it offers significant carbon savings as well as other environmental impacts. So that's our impact thesis.
That's great. 18.3 years. That's pretty
it's
precise.
a long time.
And it's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, now turning to you, Isabelle. Like Sasha, you are using biotech, but instead of using microbes or yeast or bacteria, you're using plants, as you said earlier on, so as green factories to develop a novel cosmetics ingredient. What do you think the role of green biotech could the role of green biotech be over the next few years in creating a more sustainable future for the beauty sector?
Yes, thank you, Fabien, for the question. So yes, we are into green biotechnology, so developing tools for transforming plant into producing better yield ingredients. Plants are already, as you know, a great source of active ingredients for the cosmetic industry, for pharmaceutical industry. And it's really an exciting place to be in the green biotechnology sphere because, over the last decades, there has been a lot of technologies that have been developed to really finely tune the genetics of plants into producing better. So I said that the plants are a source of natural ingredients. You have some rare ingredients that can be extracted, but this is also a threat to biodiversity. But with new way to do green biotechnology, then you can transfer genetic information into a high biomass plant in turn you can increase the yield of different type of ingredients, including rare ingredients. Obviously, our mission is also to help industry to reduce carbon footprint. So the plants, as you know, they consume CO2 as a carbon source, so you need to add sugars. They provide quite good alternatives to chemical synthesis for some applications, and also it could be a great alternatives like microbial fermentation and other type of feedstock, just to provide alternatives to so fossil fuel type of molecules, or something that is toxic, or some ingredients that are taken off the shelves because they don't comply with regulations. So we are also quite complementary. We don't pretend to be entirely competitors to microbial fermentation, but very complementary, because in some examples you can produce molecules that are not possible sometimes with microbes. We have some example here in Algentech. So we have been producing melanin, for example. So this is a pigment that you have in your skin, and also it has a great properties, anti-UV, antimicrobial. So with potential application in the cosmetic industry as well as pharmaceutical industry. And we have been able to produce, for example, this compound at 10% of dry biomass, which is quite good, so 10 times more than what is available with other biosystems. So yeah, it's exciting, it's new, and there is a great opportunities to use green biotech for producing sustainable ingredients. Yeah.
Sounds great. I think you're making a very good point. We shouldn't oppose,
No,
biotech, green chemistry. We should be looking to combine them or use the best option whenever possible. So that's an absolutely great point. So what's clear is that you're all sharing a deep commitment to sustainable innovation, but to innovate sustainably, to create change at scale, you can't do this on your own. You have to partner. We've talked about it in the last session. Partnering is no longer optional. So let's start with you, Sasha. So in your area, in the area of biotech, we're seeing an increasing number of partnership, of acquisition, of investment. And we also, you mentioned earlier on, some competitors are also working together to tackle common challenges. And I believe you've got a lot of experience in that area. So could you tell us a bit more about that?
Definitely. So partnership is everything. And what's really fascinating is bringing together competitors that we know haven't for, it feels like generations, wanted to even be in the same room to sit down and say, tackling this is such a big supply chain issue or is such a big risk issue that we're willing to do so. And it's actually kind of some beautiful healing, I think, happens in those spaces, because there's a sense of pre-competitiveness. At Geno, we have a make and sell model. So there's our customers that come directly to us. But then we've also built out a JV model, which includes the venture Future Origins with L'Oreal and Unilever and others. And so there's this really great sense of collaboration, as well as still a very real protection of information. So IP is still closely held to the chest, but there's an opening and a making of open source information. An example of that recently in Geno, this is one of the reasons I absolutely love my job, is within one day I can talk to 3 of the biggest competitors in the beauty industry or in apparel. And what's so interesting is they may have different perspectives or priorities of what matters to them and their long-term goals, but they're all going after the same thing. So what we've done at Geno is started to make those resources open source. So why is it important to have traceability or transparency in your supply chain? What does putting a carbon price that every one of our partners has, helping our partners to better understand what's coming with different regulation to make it easier for them to do their jobs. That's one of my biggest joys, is being able to organize that information, make it digestible, and then share it between our partners so that there's more collaboration and we can flatten the learning curve. Many of these groups were working directly with the procurement team or their formulators, and they don't have the capacity or time to go to their sustainability teams and run a full LCA or to think about upcoming regulations. So we take it on ourselves to help it to be easier for our partners, and we found that in doing so, it creates a lot more collaboration and kindness and mutual support.
Yes, and as you said, I can comment on that. L'Oréal's joined your joint venture last year. Well, it's not easy every day, but I think we are, on our side, we're very excited by this type of initiative, by working together with like-minded competitors, players in the beauty sector, because we can leverage our expertise, our resources to have a truly meaningful impact. Again, it's all about scale and impact. So thank you, Sasha. Turning to you, Isabelle, partnering is obviously crucial as well for a startup when you are attempting to bring to the market a game-changing solution. What advice would you give to a startup, an entrepreneur trying to innovate in the beauty space?
Yeah, so partnership is absolute key for a startup to grow, to move the innovation and to accelerate access to market. This is absolutely. It makes you also make a strategical decision on a product development, on whether you should invest in scale-up of this product rather than another. It's really important to have this information early on. Also, partnering means that you have access to a team of experts that will help you in looking at not only at the strategy, but also at the regulatory landscape, which is really, really important, and it's key. You cannot do it alone, basically. So a good place to start, I think, is the open innovation schemes. I mean, we have an example because I talk about experience because we have integrated the L'Oréal Green Science Incubator last year. And this is really a good way to build on a win-win relationship. So you bring to the industry innovation, novel type of products, and in return you have a team of experts who are there to help you to move your product forward, to test the product on the market, to advise you on the regulatory issues. And so this is, for us, it was a great experience so far, and it helped us to grow. This is very, very important.
That's good to see. And having worked in the startup world, I couldn't agree more with you. And I think a lot of corporates are now setting up incubators. I think for L'Oréal, I think we launched our incubator about 3 or 4 years ago. So it's something quite new, but more and more corporates are doing it. And obviously incubators are also everywhere, so it's important for startups to make the best of these ecosystems.
Sure, and the key for success is really the win-win relationship. It has to work like this, and it does for us. Yeah.
Okay. So on this note, I'd like to turn to Douwina to pick a brain on the future of partnership in the sector, and based on your past experience of successful collaboration. Obviously, you've been developing yourself green chemical technologies for decades, but you've more recently built a plant in Belgium, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly.
Making use of a technology that's been jointly developed by Oleon and other partners.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about this
sure.
co-development?
Sure. So we talked here in the panel already a lot about the need for collaboration, and previous panels made the same call out. So where Oleon is quite active is in also getting these European projects, European partnerships. So back in 2019, we started in a consortium, which was called Insights, which was a multidisciplinary consortium with the funding of the European Commission Horizon 2020 program, very grateful for all of the support we got from the Commission. And so we, for example, partner with Vito. Kudos to Vito. They were just excellent in partnershiping with Oleon, but also through the alignments and the support of Aspire and the University of Ghent and so many other partners. So that means that indeed we went into a full-blown flagship European project, which was the building of like 1,000 metric liter reactor at our Oleon plant, which we still call like an R&D demo reactor. So I always need to swallow if I understand that this is still at the R&D level. Obviously, we're now transferring to our operations. But yeah, it was a reactor which enables us to move away from the chemical catalysis reactor into the use of biological materials such as enzymes, which we saw really as part of our great ambitions with regards to reducing our scope 1 and 2 greenhouse gas emissions. Because you utilize enzymes as a catalyst, obviously you work at less pressure, lower temperatures, you develop less potential contaminants during your production. That means that you need to do less post-processing steps with regards to deodorizing, bleaching, and everything that goes to meeting your product within spec. So this was indeed our first molecule, which is an IPP, isopropyl palmitate, which is also a commodity that is being used in the cosmetic and personal care industry. And it is really a trajectory because as Sasha said, you indeed are targeting commodities because obviously you need to have a strong business plan and then volume speaks. But that means that if you're targeting the production of commodities with a brand new technology, that means that your customers are asking kind of similar specifications from a traditional product, and that traditional product is as a commodity in the industry. So that means that it had more than 10 years of continuous improvements with regards to color, with regards to odor, the functionality in different personal care or beauty applications. So in fact, that's what you're competing with. And so for a company, it's not always easy because obviously there's very large investments. It's CapEx investment, it's OpEx investments. You need to attract new personnel. So you need to have biochemists suddenly within your facilities to enable the capability development. And at the same time, you're still working on your parallel productions. So basically, you're doubling up your investment plan. And that makes it tricky. And that's why, of course, I believe that Europe plays an instrumental role into the research and innovation and funding that they offer for companies to be able to get as a first mover these technologies to the markets. And so, and that's why I think indeed partnerships are key because by no way you can solve as a company such a complex problem by yourself. Yeah.
And you're making a very good point. I think we talked about drop-in replacement earlier on. I think sometimes we feel that it's very easy, but not. You need to think about impurities, about odor, all these sort of things, and this is part of the performance. If it's the smell is different, it's going to be you have to work on it. So that's a very, very important point. And yeah, and well done again on your plans. Some of my colleagues attended your inauguration a few months ago, and they were very, very impressed. So very, very well done. I'm looking at you, Paul. I think we've got time for Q&A, like 1 or 5 minutes. Questions there? Okay. Any thoughts, questions, comments? Okay. Any more? Okay. Or have you got any comments you wanted to, building on what you've already
Well,
said?
maybe I can indeed build further on that. So So we target indeed to have like a 30% reduction in our energy consumption, which results then also in a drastically improved LCA footprint for such a product. And so the ambition is now indeed to fully extend our portfolio of esters dedicated to health and beauty, because we believe that this is indeed a market that can adopt such new technologies first, because how do you explain to a consumer a technology, right? You can explain about a new molecule or a new feature that you bring to market, but explaining a new technology remains challenging. Yes. So that's why it will be important to make sure that indeed you work with the right customers, like L'Oréal in this case, and have these discussions indeed about what is feasible, what is not feasible, what are certain specifications that are needed, what does not work, what does well work. So have that iterations of improvement, I would say, would be key to be able to produce a high quality product on the market.
Yeah, it's absolutely key to have this discussion. I agree. Any other?
I would like to just make a comment on the beauty industry. So before joining Geno, I worked for over 7 years in the beauty industry on supply chains, looking at where products come from and why it matters as a risk strategy for big beauty brands. And I think that the beauty industry is such an interesting case study for biotech and the sustainable materials transition, because for as much beauty, we hope, is in the beauty industry, it actually is quite an ugly industry where collaboration hasn't been at the center of solutions for many decades and generations, and there's so much unknown. Just think about when you're brushing your teeth this morning, there's probably over 10 ingredients in your toothpaste, and oftentimes companies don't know where that comes from. And I think that there's so many solutions when the beauty industry gets it right, because the products that we put on our skin, our deodorant, our shampoo, if you use beauty products, they directly impact your health and they impact the health of our planet. And so I'm actually really inspired by the work that the beauty industry has been taking on, because we know it's a big polluter, but it also has massive potential for impact. So studying the storytelling of companies that aren't greenwashing and are actually doing the back-end supply chain work to find these solutions, I find is really compelling. And if you're interested to hear any of those stories, many of them, I'm lucky, are our customers, please come say hi and stop by our booth.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And it's absolutely key on consumer asking for this transparency about the supply chains, where how they're made, where they come from. So it's absolutely key. Yeah. And I think the industry understands that. Any other comments? Or I think one question. I think we might have to. Okay.
Hi, it's actually not a question, more a comment. It's great to see that the collaboration here on stage actually results in investments in real hardware, in real plants, like the Future Origins example, because we need 100 times more plants than we're building today if we want to make a dent in the CO2 emissions that the industry at large produces. So great to have Symbio and Bio as the topic of this and many other conferences, but if it doesn't result in plants being built, we're not making a dent. So kudos to you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay. So I think we'll probably close here. So just to conclude, let's face it, the beauty industry is evolving at lightning speed. Consumer expectation, what technologies enable us to do, what the planet demands. It's going faster than ever. But clearly, we have a number of challenges ahead. We talk about scaling up. That's a key challenge. Affordability, making sure that products are high performance. Performance is a must for our consumers and are truly sustainable. So that's absolutely key. But the momentum is undeniable. I'm sure you agree. And as we discussed, partnering, developing new ways of collaborating is an absolute must for this transformation to be successful. So on this note, I'd like to please join me in thanking our fantastic panel experts.